everyone, it is Brooke from Grieving Mommy, and I just wanted to do a quick video about the different responses that people have to grief, and really wanted to get the point across that there is no right and wrong way to grieve, especially at the beginning. I've gone through a lot of grief in my life. I've lost a lot of people that I love. Most recently, though, if you know anything about me, I lost my 10-year-old daughter, Libby, in a car accident, and I am right in the throes of experiencing all of that raw emotion and all of these things that I'm going to talk about. So I just wanted to kind of reassure everyone there is no right or wrong way to grieve. It's not linear at all. There are stages in grief, but they're not really stages. There's no set path. So everyone will kind of go through things differently and experience things a little bit differently. And especially depending on the situation involving the person that you lost, whether it was a traumatic incident and you had time to prepare or you didn't, or if it was a suicide or a murder, you know, people are going to have different reactions based on what happened. So I'm just going to go through a few of those common things that happen kind of right in the beginning stages of grief, and even longer. These things can go on for a long time after you lose someone that you love, because it is such a big thing. So, all right, here we go. So the first thing that I want to talk about is the shock and the numbness that you have. I know when I first found out about my daughter, I went completely numb. And your brain actually does that on purpose, and it's a good thing, because otherwise our brains wouldn't be able to handle the trauma that we're going through when we first find out that someone that we love so much has died. I actually consider myself sort of lucky in a way that when my daughter passed away, my son was driving the car, my 19-year-old, and he also had injuries. He was unconscious when they found him at the scene, and he had to be taken by ambulance to the hospital, and we had no idea how he was. So I knew that my daughter had died, and I was there at the scene, but also then sort of my brain shut down and kind of shut that part out and focused on my son and whether or not he was going to be okay. And he is okay, luckily. But again, it took a while to sink in. It just didn't seem real. The whole few days after she died did not seem real at all. And then I just sort of immersed myself in the planning and all of the tedious, awful things that no one wants to deal with when you're going through trauma that you have to deal with. Yeah, you just sort of numbly get through it all if you can. So it's totally normal, and the numbness can last a very long time. I find myself every now and then just having a day where I feel like I don't feel anything at all. And that's completely normal. And I know that that's okay, because that's one of the typical things that happens. So I just sort of let myself have that numbness and disbelief for that bit of time. The next thing I want to talk about is sleep disruption. So I have heard, and I know that it's normal, that for some people, you want to sleep all the time and can sleep for, 10, 12 hours at a time and have no problem with that. And you sleep more than normal. And that's probably because your brain is kind of shutting down, trying to deal with things, and your body needs sleep in order to deal with all the things that you're experiencing. I was sort of the opposite. I couldn't sleep at all. I had trouble sleeping anyway, so my grief just magnified that like crazy. I was barely sleeping at all. So I just want to encourage you, that is normal, but you might want to, if you aren't sleeping at all, then you might want to consider talking to a doctor about medication. There are medications to help you sleep, and honestly, your body needs that sleep. It needs sleep in order to help heal itself. So I don't want anyone to be ashamed about talking to your doctor if you can't sleep, because it is so important to get that and help your body and your brain deal with everything that is going on. Okay, the next one, I'm looking at my list down here if you see me looking down. Brain problems, talking about not getting enough sleep and your brain not functioning. Brain problems meaning you have trouble concentrating on things, have difficulty remembering things, you forget things all the time. Very, very normal. That is happening to me a lot. I was one of those people that was really, really good at trivia and could remember things about, especially like in movies, who was in what movie and who's connected with whom. And my brain just can't do that anymore. I have no idea. It'll be like right there. And I'm like, I know this, but I cannot think of it to save my life. I know a lot of people say that they have trouble concentrating on books, so they can't read. So like self-help books are kind of useless in the beginning because you can't concentrate long enough to read. I found that podcasts and videos like this, YouTube videos, are really helpful for me. I just put things on and listen to them to kind of distract my mind. But definitely the other thing I would say is try to make lists if you can. Write things down, jot down notes, because you will probably be forgetting things a lot more than you typically do, and that is okay and normal, and don't beat yourself up about it. The next one, changes in appetite. I know for me, after Libby died, I didn't want to eat anything at first. And I think that happens for a lot of people. You just lose your appetite completely. Like, you're not thinking about it. Your brain's thinking about other things and it's not concentrating on food. And then for a lot of people, it goes the other way, where you're emotionally eating and kind of eating your feelings. I've definitely swung that way. It was like once the shock wore off, then I was kind of turning to food to numb the feelings that I was having. And I know that happens with a lot of people, or you kind of stay in that other extreme where you don't really care about eating anymore and food doesn't do anything for you. I would just say with this, it's okay to be one way or the other, but not for too long. So just try to take care of yourself as best as you can. Try to drink a lot of water. That would be my biggest recommendation. Make sure, like now, you can pause it, go get a glass of water and drink a glass of water. Water, your brain and your body need water to keep functioning and dealing with everything that you're dealing with. And just try to eat as healthy as you can. I know food is probably one of the last things that you're thinking about. And I tend to just, people were dropping off casseroles and I wasn't even thinking about what I was eating. But you really do need to try to help your body along by giving it some good nutrition, because it's going through so much. So just do what you can. Every now and then, try to eat some good things for your body and make sure you drink that water. All right, fatigue. So fatigue, I'm not talking about like the sleep kind of fatigue where if you're not sleeping very well. I'm just talking about general freaking exhaustion where your body is just done. Everything in you is working overtime just to survive. You're gonna be tired, like ridiculous. Your body is just going to be tired. Your brain is tired. You are just going to feel exhausted. And that is totally normal. I had one time, I like to tell people the story where, I knew I was tired. I was sleeping okay, but not great at that time. I sat down on the sofa and I was texting someone and I literally was texting, and I don't even know how it happened, but I woke up 2 hours later and was like, what the heck just happened? Like, my body just shut down. It just fell asleep in the middle of texting. And that was my body's way of telling me that I needed to stop and I needed to take some time to rest. So if you can take naps, take naps. I know sometimes as moms, if you have little kids especially, you feel guilty taking naps in the middle of the day, but if you need them, take them. Do whatever you need to do for yourself to get your body the rest that it needs. Emotional dysregulation is the last one that I wanted to talk about, which basically just means mood swings. So your emotions are going to be all over the place. And that's totally normal. You will have days probably where you are angry and snapping at everyone. I've had that where I just totally overreact to something, or I'm mean, or just have, this ridiculous reaction, and I have to stop and be like, "Ooh, sorry, that was the grief talking. Back up. Okay, let's try that again." And that's okay. People will understand. And if they don't, tell them, sorry, that was my grief talking. Let's try that again. I will have days sometimes where I'm okay and I get through the day and I haven't cried or haven't cried very much, and I'm productive and I get shit done. And then I have other days where I don't even know why it is, but I just want to lay on the couch and cry all day long. Sometimes there's triggers, sometimes there's not. There's really no rhyme or reason. A lot of times I'll be going along okay, and I'll just feel this feeling building in my chest. And it's like, I know something is coming. I know I'm gonna have to release it at some point, and I'm just gonna have like a complete meltdown. And then I'll have the meltdown, and then usually I feel better after I have the meltdown, and then I can go on a little bit longer until I have the next meltdown. But it's like waves, the emotions. They are up, they are down. They will crash and pull you under sometimes, and sometimes you'll just be floating, trying to survive. And it's all okay. It's all normal. So don't beat yourself up about any extremes of emotions that you're having. The last thing I wanted to say about that, just to kind of wrap it up, is if you are having the kind of emotions where you are in such a dark place that you're feeling like you might want to hurt yourself or hurt someone else, or, you just can't function, can't do daily functions, definitely please seek help. Talk to a doctor, talk to a psychologist. I freely admit and, proudly tell people that after my daughter died, I got to a point where I didn't feel like living. Like, it was like, what was the point? I was in so much pain that I really didn't see any point in going on with my life if it was going to be so terrible and I was going to have to live without her. And I would drive my car, and every time I would drive my car, I would think about driving off the road. And it scared me. I got to such a dark place that I knew that I needed help. And I'm so glad that I realized that I needed that help. And I hope that you do too, that if you get to that point, go get help. I actually checked myself into a day program at a mental facility that we have near me, and it was probably the best thing I could have ever done. So I highly recommend getting help. There's absolutely no shame in getting that support if you need it. Losing someone you love is the most difficult thing that you can go through. So please get support if you need it. Okay. So I know there are a lot more reactions that you can have, but those were just the few that I wanted to talk about today and things that I have experienced myself as I'm going through my grief. So hopefully that was helpful, just letting you know that you are not alone. You are not alone, and everything that you are going through and experiencing, it's okay. It's okay to be feeling whatever you are feeling, and however you are dealing with this is the best way to deal with it for you. But if you need help, please get help. I am Brooke again from Grieving Mommy. If there is anything that you would like to hear from me in the future, any topics that you would like me to talk about, things you'd like me to discuss, please, please, please leave comments. Let me know. I am happy to do that. I want to share this experience with you as I go through it and share the things that I'm learning as I'm going through this new grief journey, which is not a fun one, but hopefully we can get through it together and help each other. So much love. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.